Marcus should manage the retirement fund, my mother said, not looking up from the flowers she was arranging in the crystal vase I gave her last month. I stood silently in their freshly renovated living room, clutching the investment portfolio I'd spent 3 years building, my $275,000 life savings, carefully grown to secure their future after Dad's business failed. Dad stayed glued to the golf game, avoiding eye contact. "He's better with money," Mom added. "Better with money," I repeated, my voice calm despite the rising heat in my chest. "Marcus hasn't kept a job for longer than 3 months in 5 years. I'm Amanda Chin. I'm 32. A financial advisor at one of Boston's top firms. I've lived modestly, built my career brick by brick, while Marcus chased pipe dreams and lived in our parents' basement." "He's found his calling now," Mom insisted. "He's been taking online courses and has big ideas about crypto. Last month those big ideas included digital pet rocks. The month before, a smoothie subscription app that never launched." "Where is he now?" asked.Dad muttered. "Vegas. Crypto conference. Says it's a game changer. Course. Vegas. Likely on the new credit card they gave him. Funded from the very account I created for their retirement." Mom pulled out an envelope. "We've already signed the papers. Marcus takes over the investments next week. He thinks your strategy is too conservative." I opened the documents. It was all there. Full control handed to Marcus, including my $275,000. "And my contribution?" asked. Mom's face turned cold. "That was a gift. You said so yourself. And as a family," she continued, "we decided Marcus should manage it. Besides, you make good money. Marcus needs this more. He has vision." I thought about the years I'd worked 2 jobs through college, earned my MBA at night, lived in a cramped apartment, while Marcus burned through tuition, wrecked cars and failed at startups. Still, none of that mattered. Then came the final blow. "We think it's best if you step back from family matters," Mom said. "Marcus feels intimidated by you." "You're cutting me out," I said. "Just for now," Dad added. "He needs space to grow." I looked around. At the furniture I helped choose, the home I helped pay to renovate, the family photos where Marcus stood front and center while I lingered at the edges. Something inside me snapped into focus. "Understood," I said, my voice steady. "You've made your choice. Don't be dramatic," Mom sighed. "We're just prioritizing Marcus right now." I gathered my papers. "One thing. Did Marcus mention which conference in Vegas he's attending?" "The big one," Dad said. "Everyone important is there." Pulled out my phone. "That's odd," I said, showing them the website. "I just got back from Vegas. That conference was cancelled 2 months ago." Mom paled. "But Marcus said." "I'm sure he did." I cut her off, heading for the door. "Good luck with your new financial genius. I hope those pet rocks pay off." I closed the door behind me, leaving them stunned. They had no idea what I'd set in motion. The next morning, while they processed the lie, I was already in my office. I'd learned long ago, always have a backup plan. As I reviewed account activity, my phone buzzed with texts. "Amanda, please call us. Marcus isn't answering. We may have been hasty. Let's talk, princess." I ignored them and focused on the email from my lawyer. The power of attorney Marcus had them sign. Invalid. The notary's license had expired. "Are you sure?" my lawyer asked. "Once we file, Marcus will face legal scrutiny." "Do it," I said, remembering the alert I received last night. Marcus had tried to transfer $50,000 to a Vegas casino. Good thing I'd added safeguards. Any withdrawal over $10,000 needed my secondary verification. They thought they were cutting me out. They were about to learn who really held the keys to BY Noon. My phone wouldn't stop ringing. This time it was Marcus. "What did you do?" he hissed when I finally answered. "The casino's threatening to call the police." "Which casino?" I asked calmly. "You mean the one hosting the non-existent crypto conference?" There was silence. "Look, sis, you don't understand. I found this incredible investment opportunity. Save it, I cut him off. The only reason the police haven't been called is because I intercepted the fraud alert. You have 1 hour to get back to Mom and Dad's house. If you're not there, the investigation goes forward. You wouldn't, he challenged, but I could hear the panic starting to creep in. Try me. 1 hour, Marcus. I hung up and immediately called my parents. Family meeting. 1 hour. Have all the financial documents ready. When I pulled into their driveway an hour later, Marcus's car was already there, still coated in Vegas dust. Inside, I walked in on the exact scene I expected. Marcus spinning stories, my parents looking confused and nervous. Amanda, Mom began. Your brother was just explaining. I held up a hand and set my laptop on the coffee table. Let me explain instead. Click through 3 key files. First, proof the crypto conference was cancelled months ago. Second, this is the casino receipt. Marcus tried to transfer $50,000 from your retirement fund last night. It was temporary. Marcus interrupted. I found this amazing opportunity. Third, I continued, ignoring him. The notary who signed your power of attorney documents. Her license expired 3 months ago. Legally, those papers are invalid. My father turned ghost white. Marcus said his lawyer friend handled it. That lawyer doesn't exist, Dad. Just like the conference. Just like all the business ideas Marcus has pitched over the years. My mother sat down, visibly shaken. But what about our retirement fund? She asked, her voice trembling. It's safe, I said. I've had protections in place for months. Not a single dollar was lost. Marcus shot to his feet, furious. You had no right. That money was supposed to be under my control. Mom and Dad agreed. I met his fury with a quiet but sharp voice. Sit down, Marcus. You're already in enough trouble. He froze. The air shifted. The casino will drop the fraud claim, but only if this is resolved today. My parents looked between us, reality finally catching up to years of denial. How? Dad asked softly. I reached into my bag and laid out 3 documents. First, you both sign this to revoke Marcus's access to all family accounts. Second, Marcus moves out today. Third, he enrolls in the financial literacy program I've arranged at my firm. Or, Marcus asked, voice smaller than I'd ever heard it. Or I let the investigation proceed. Mom looked ready to argue, but Dad gently placed a hand on her arm. For the first time in years, he looked at Marcus with clear eyes. Sign the papers, son, he said quietly. Your sister is giving you a chance you don't deserve. Marcus sat down, deflated, speechless, and for once accountable. I didn't feel satisfaction. This wasn't revenge. It was protection, of our parents, of their future, and of myself. As Marcus trudged upstairs to pack, my mother turned to me. Amanda, we were wrong about everything. I nodded, expression even. Yes, you were. But it wasn't the end. My phone buzzed, a confirmation. Everything was ready for the next step. One that could rebuild our family. Or end it for good. 3 months later, I sat in my office reviewing progress reports. Marcus, surprisingly, had stuck with the financial literacy program. Whether it was the threat of prison or the loss of control, he was showing real effort. My phone buzzed. Mom. Dinner tonight? Weekly family dinners had become a new tradition, different from the past. No more idolizing Marcus or dismissing me. Instead, we had honest, sometimes uncomfortable conversations. I thought back to that first dinner after the confrontation. It had been tense. My parents didn't know how to talk without protecting Marcus. But I came prepared. I have something to show you, I said, pulling out a folder. Inside was a detailed plan. A roadmap not just to rebuild their retirement but to rebuild us. Dad had quietly flipped through it, finally pausing. This is extensive. I learned from the best, I told him. His eyes welled up when he recognized the planning format. His own, from before the bankruptcy. Now, 3 months later, I replied to Mom's text with a simple, yes. And for the first time in a long time I smiled. Genuinely. Marcus was now living in a small apartment just a few blocks from my office, working part-time while continuing his financial education program. He wasn't thriving exactly, but for the first time in his adult life, he was surviving honestly. The retirement fund had fully recovered from his attempted theft, and I'd implemented even stronger protections. But more important than any balance sheet, I had taught my parents how to manage their own money. They no longer handed over responsibility blindly. They asked questions, made informed decisions, and took control of their financial future. A text from Mom pinged on my phone. Your brother asked about the investment club. Is it okay if he joins? That was my masterstroke. 2 months earlier, I'd started a small investment group for family and friends, focused on basic financial literacy. My parents attended every week, rebuilding not only their savings, but their confidence. I replied, if he's completed level 2 of his program, yes. Marcus had to earn his place like everyone else. No more shortcuts, no more favors. That evening, I drove to my parents' house with a letter tucked in my bag, one that could change everything again. I'd received it that morning from the board of directors at my firm. When I walked through the door, the atmosphere felt different. Lighter. Mom was actually cooking, instead of anxiously arranging flowers. Dad was setting the table, not hiding behind a TV. Marcus arrived last, carrying a folder. I passed level 2, he announced. His voice quieter than usual. Less swagger, more substance. Congratulations, I said sincerely. The investment club meets Thursdays at 6. Over dinner, the conversation flowed easily. Mom shared how she'd made her first small investment using the club's strategy. Dad talked about a business magazine he now read regularly. And Marcus, a bit awkwardly, explained what he'd learned about compound interest. Then I brought out the letter. My firm is opening a new division, I said. Financial education for families affected by bankruptcy and fraud. They've asked me to lead it. Mom lit up with pride, but then hesitated. That's wonderful, isn't it? It is, I assured her. And I want to begin with our story. A heavy silence settled over the table, not of discomfort, but of understanding. Our family's journey, the bankruptcy, the enabling, the near disaster, the healing, could serve as a blueprint for others. All of us, I said, looking at Marcus. If you're willing to talk about what went wrong, and how you're making it right, you could help others avoid the same path. He stared down at his plate for a long moment. You trust me with that? You've earned the chance, I said gently. 3 months of honest work. That matters. Dad cleared his throat. I should talk about my part too. How I failed as a business owner. And as a father. I tried to fix things by enabling worse decisions. Mom reached for his hand. We both did. But we're learning too, aren't we? I looked around the table. At my mother, finally seeing her children clearly. At my father, finally owning his role in the past. And at Marcus, who was slowly becoming the man he was always capable of being. That's what family means, I said. Not blindly supporting each other's mistakes, but helping each other grow, even when it hurts. Especially then, Marcus added quietly. Even when it means admitting you were wrong. Smiled. As we cleared the dishes and started discussing plans for the new project, I realized something. My revenge had never really been revenge. It was resurrection. Resurrecting our family's integrity. Resurrecting trust. Resurrecting the future we thought we'd lost. Because sometimes, proving your worth doesn't come from tearing others down. Comes from helping them build themselves back up.